Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
Today's episode is going to be really tough. And it's going to be really tough because we're going to start looking at the data that we get back when we've found out that we lied to ourselves in some way or another, some mislead, some misdirect, some extra version of the way the world works that justifies our internal behavior of not moving or not solving the problem or whatever. The analysis phase is really quite dangerous, for lack of a better way to say it. And the danger is that you don't do it correctly. There's a couple of key risks. And when I say correctly, I quite literally mean that there are some outcomes here that feel super satisfying, but are just kicking the can down the lane. So there's a right way and a wrong way to go about this. Anything that essentially doesn't move your understanding forward productively is effectively the wrong way to do it. So when you jump to judgment, for example, when you look at the situation where perhaps you are lying to yourself in some capacity or another, and you start to use your performance or use the situation to beat yourself up, that is basically judgment wearing the Sherlock Holmes outfit, right? That is like masquerading analysis as a beating, right? You don't want to do that, obviously, because it's super bad for you. And the more you beat yourself up, the worse you get, the deeper the avoidance goes. And over time, as that sort of edifies into your behavior set, you won't even be able to see that you're lying to yourself anymore. And it'll kind of go back into the woodwork. The second meaningful challenge in the analysis phase is rationalization, where you rationalize and justify the things that you're doing, the position that you have that essentially further allows it to not change. Where you look at the situation and you go, well, that is what it is. That's exactly what happened. And I wouldn't do anything different. That's just rationalizing. You're just taking what you've done and making it okay. When we meaningfully begin the analysis process from data about what's going on in the world, we have to move to a completely different place where, in many ways, your identity is not involved. Okay, if your identity is involved in the analysis phase, you're not going to fix anything because you've got too much writing on the line, as it were. When we want to move to this place where we're trying to figure out what's going on, you're going to bring all of that data into the examining, and you're going to look for some of the themes that maybe you're going to look at these themes that you've noted in that reflection phase, some stuff that kept showing up, some stuff like, hey, every time somebody brought this up in conversation, or every time I was confronted with this type of situation, I performed this misdirect, or I told myself this story to justify inaction, or whatever. This is where that analysis gets to happen. Now, independent of the two kind of false analyses are another set of risks as well, and that is overuse and underuse. So overuse of analysis is rumination, where you essentially will sit there and go over the same territory over and over and over again, looking for a different result. You'll add more nuance. The story will get richer, but not really meaningfully change at all. That's kind of a meaningful abuse of the analysis process. And underuse is like the first pattern that comes up. You kind of just, well, yeah, I guess that's it. Peace, I'm out. It feels like progress. And then 6 months later, you find yourself in the exact same position. So when we're looking at these behaviors that we have, these challenges we're trying to overcome, where we have essentially told ourselves something that isn't true, what we're trying to find is underneath that, what is the thing that we are either avoiding, right? What's the discomfort? What's the truth there? Sometimes it's, what would this say about me if this were true? Or sometimes it's, what would this mean if I genuinely acted in this way? More often than not, when you start looking at these things, they're questions about who we are as people. There's a unresolved ambiguity about where behavior is versus who we think we are. It's an identity behavior conflict in a lot of cases. We have options in those situations, and we'll talk about those a little bit more in the action phase tomorrow. But in this analysis phase, look for that gap. Look for what is the thing that we're trying to essentially justify, legitimize, or make okay by virtue of this lie that we tell ourselves or this misdirect. There is where the seed of the work for tomorrow will come from.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.